So in this video, we're going to show some time series and a visualization. So speaking of that, basically means how do you plot the data into a graphs or some curves. So all the data used in this lecture or lab can be found from this github.com and data sets, and you can feel free to download them. Some of the data actually I copied here, but if just in case I missed one or two, you can download from there. So when we are using the visualization, first of all, you probably need to import all of those modules. So we were using the parse and then matplotlib and the plt and seaborn and numpy and pandas. So all of them are added here. So for example, we can simply first use plot. We can set the parameters for the picture image size, and then we can load the data. So A10 is just one of the data. This shows you the dates and the value, and so we can actually start read that, and we can parse the dates as actually the timestamp from the dates actually parsed as the dates. So it becomes the date, and we can use the date. So that what becomes our index. So this is a perfectly defined time series. Okay. Sometimes we may have the panel data, like time-based panel data, so which means we're sharing the time as index, daytime as index. However, we may have multiple columns. For example, in this one, we have multiple columns, and we have the data right here. This one, in this particular one, the index is not in time. So seriously, it's not a time data panel, time-based data panel. But when this index becomes time, then it becomes time-based data panel. So this is just an example of what's the panel data. So something like that, like this. It's like a table, right? Visualization, a time series. So we can actually use the matplotlib to visualize those series. For example, we first read the data, and then we can actually plot the data frame. So here is we plot the data frame, and then we have the index, what's the value, and what's the title, and that's it. So we just need to give those values, and the DPI is the density of the picture. So how fine you want the picture is. Sometimes 100 is a bit too low. Maybe 300 for most of the use case. You need a 300 DPI, but here the more density, the high density is going to cost you higher time, more time usage, and more computing on the results. So here I just use 100. It shows okay to me. And here is simply just use pie plot. So we use PLT figures, we specify the size, and then we plot it. And here we are showing it, and then we have all the settings. So that's the first example. I can show the data. You clearly see this data is seasonal data, and also it actually has a trend going up. So it's combine the two types of data. For time series, there are normally seasonal or trend, or the combination of those two. Here we're going to show you another example. I can plot the data, and I can not only plot the positive values, we can also plot the negative values. So first I node the data as x and y, y1, and then y2. I simply just go to negative of y2. Y2 will be negative of y1. So then we plot the results. So you will see this whole thing is actually kind of like symmetric, right? And that's how do we do that. So when you plot it, you can simply just specify plot the field between the y1 and y2, and you have alpha and the line width and the color, and the x will be the index, and the rest of them is setting the plot images, the properties, right? What's the y's limit, what's the title, what's the horizontal lines, and then we can also import data. We can prepare the data. So how do we do the seasonal plot of time series? We can actually read data, and then we can prepare for the colors, and then we can draw the plot. We can draw the data. Actually is from we slice the data, right? Slice the data. So we can actually plot a lot of seasonal data. You will find that they follow the same pattern, and the color is just a keep on changing color for each line. Is going to have its own color, and then we have the text and the value. So that will be final results. You will find that the drug cells. A1 is about the drug cells. So all the lines are showing here. It shows clearly February will have the lowest cells, and then it's follow all the way up for the rest of the months. And then for box plot of month-wise, seasonal and trend distribution. Similar thing, you're going to have the data, and then you draw the plot. We draw the plot. Here we're using the Seaborn, which is similar to the Matplotlib. And you're going to see we have the box plot, have the year, and then we have the data. And it will give us the two figures. One is left, one is the right. And I showed some of the data, how the data look like. And here is the Seaborn draw plot of the data. So basically that's all how you need to do for visualize the data. Okay.